Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Couch Trip. My name is Mark. I appreciate you coming to my channel. So in response to a video I did reviewing a pair of Keen hiking boots, today I'm going to do a review on another set of hiking boots by Technica called the Forge S GTX. And I have been pleasantly surprised. I let about 6 months of hard testing go by. That said, I do work outside. I am in the process of building a stone wall. And so I'm constantly picking up large stones, dropping them on my feet, scrabbling up a cliff face to pick these things up. So let's just jump right into it. Let me first off show you this beautiful, beautiful boot. Now it's really muddy at this point and dusty, but it's super cool. And I don't know if you can see this area that right off the bat should be leaping off the boot and into the picture, into the first thing that you would notice. The rest of this is a very hard synthetic and rubber toe guard, rubber heel guard, and the Vibram, however you say it, Mega Grip sole. The most important factor here that's very different about the Technica is something that they've done, that they've taken over, they transferred from their ski boot side of the house, and it's called CAS, Custom Adaptive Shaping. And this is a really cool technology. These polka dotted areas are they're called thermoformable area. And the great thing about this is rather than, I don't know how old you may or may not be, but I'm in my 50s. And when I was a kid, you used to have to buy a really heavy duty cowhide hiking boot, soak it in oil, water, oil it back up, walk in it for days before you ever went on a hiking trip. Otherwise you'd end up with huge blisters, and you probably still would end up with huge blisters. But this is super cool. You can reform this multiple times. I think you can reform it indefinitely. The one thing you can't reform more than 4 or 5 times is the sole. So I'm leaping ahead of myself here, but the thermoformable portion of the boot is done through heat and pressure. And they use a sleeve, a bootie, and they use a heat and pressure system to mold that specifically to your foot. So I've taken some video. I wasn't expecting to take the video that day because I didn't expect to be buying the boots. So it's horrible video, but I'm gonna tack it on to the end of this particular video. So some of the things that I really, really like about this boot so far, the customization is phenomenal. It's been very, very comfortable. I wear it all day long to work, out in the yard, in the rocks, hiking, and not one blister, not one uncomfortable hot spot. It's been phenomenal. And so the support is great. The grip is great. I've dropped some pretty big 60, 70 pound rocks on my foot, hardly felt it. And they're not steel toed either. It's just a very durable boot. Now, this boot comes in both leather, it's a nubuck leather, or a synthetic. And I don't know if you can hear this, but this synthetic, it's not puncture proof by any means, but dang, is it thick. I mean, it really, really feels like you could pretty much go straight on with a dagger, and I don't think it would puncture it. It probably would, but it's heavy duty. So I'm very impressed with that. The other thing, Kevlar hooks. These, when I first started putting the boots on, these laces, I was a little annoyed that it wasn't like a speed lace, like on a Solomon, but I gotta tell you, it's worth it. Worth the extra step. Number one, the Kevlar, super durable. These aren't gonna rip out. It's one of the weak points of most hiking boots is you typically have an eyelet bust out. And that's frustrating because you want it to be snug. You wanna have good ankle support. These Kevlar hooks, they're phenomenal. And this thing feels like it's gonna cut your hand every time you lace up your boots, but I can promise you, they're not gonna fray. These were well thought out. Technica knows what they're doing, and they're not sexy, but damn do they work. Very functional. So the other thing that's really cool about this boot, you may notice, is that it's a one piece. It doesn't have a tongue per se. So it's one piece wrapped around, which I think adds in the customization of the fit. There's not a bunch of excess material in here that is chafing, that's adding to weight, that's adding a point of weakness that can fall apart. It is incredibly well made, this boot. I don't know if you can see because it's so dusty and dirty, but this is a good solid 1.5 inches maybe of toe guard. This rubber and then these CAS areas are extremely rugged. There's so many solid, good features about the way this boot feels, and it's surprisingly light. I don't know how it's like PFM, what we say in the aviation world, and I'll leave that for you guys to look up, but it's incredible that it can be so light and yet so durable. Let's see, anything that I missed here. The thermo forming is probably my favorite feature. Kevlar eyelets, the one-piece tongue wraparound, which is phenomenal. The customized adaptive shaping system is fantastic. 2 different styles, nubuck leather or synthetic. So far think I prefer the synthetic, but I've not tested the leather, but I've seen them both. I like the looks of the leather, but it's a little dressier looking, if that doesn't make any sense, but for hiking. But Vibram Mega Grip sole. That's the other thing. Gore-Tex. It's GTX. It's Gore-Tex. 100% waterproof. I went mushrooming, morel mushroom hunting with my dad. Trekked through a cold stream late March, early April, and water up, to here. I could feel some of the cold on the outside, but not a drop. Not a drop. Super, super dry and waterproof. Love it. So what else am I missing here? Let me look at my list of things, just make sure there's nothing that I missed. Just FYI, I wear a size 10 and I have a slightly narrow foot. I think this is about a moderate size footbed. I think someone with a really wide foot might be struggling in these, but your average and slender feet will be just fine. I don't think, but again, it's customizable and you can go back to the store as many times as you like. Okay, price. When I purchased these 6 months ago, $275 is what they ran. I think now you can pick these up. I saw them on a couple different websites for about $220. I think that is a phenomenal deal. I would rush out and get a pair of these. The other thing is Technica's return policy is phenomenal. No, the guy at J&H Landmark here locally at my store said no one has returned any of these. No one. 0. That said, you can return them, no questions asked. That's how good Technica is. So I would say highly recommend, big time thumbs up. Go out and get yourself a pair of these. Will not regret. They're light enough that you can wear them on a day in and day out situation, and they breathe. I haven't worn them in anything hotter than 80 degrees, but I was completely comfortable in 80-degree weather. So guys, thanks for checking out the video today. I hope you enjoyed this quick down and dirty of the Technica Forge S GTX boot. Please like and subscribe, and any questions, comments, don't forget to hit the like button. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time on the Couch Trip.